I just thought I'd make this video for any other Max animators out there who are thinking of like myself. In the last couple of days I finally bit the bullet and said, right, I'll see if I can learn the basic animation tools in Maya, or at least to enable me to animate in Maya, because I love the selection of rigs that they have. Huge amount of rigs that look really great. And Max is very limited. And for animation practice, you're not going to build a whole character and rig it and skin it and the whole lot just so you can practice animation. And it's nice to have, a fun or a good rig to work with when you are animating. So I just wanted to go over a few things that I've sort of learned in the last couple of days, and trying to get me head around the slight differences in the way they work. Now, I'm not going to be really biased, but even after these couple of days, I have to say that all the fundamental sort of animation tools I'll be using, I just find the look and the feel of them so much more intuitive and user friendly in Max than Maya. And I'm not being biased just because I've used Max for so long, but I'll let you make your own mind up. So I'll just go over some of the most important things I found in the last couple of days. Right, so first I'll just kind of do a side-by-side comparison, jumping between Max and Maya. So in Max we'd go customize preferences, and we change our preferences here, or we change here. I'm not going to go over the Max stuff because I assume that people already that are thinking of jumping over to Maya to do some animation already know Max, but I'll just make one-to-one comparison. So that's where we find it in Max. If we jump into Maya, oh, the dreaded 90s UI of Maya. But that's enough for the Maya bashing. So we'd find, if you can come down, here. A lot of the stuff here is found up here, window, and a lot of all the editors and everything are found here. So settings, preferences, or a quicker way to get to it is just to hit this little box down the bottom right corner, preferences, and if you hit this as well, it's going to open up your times. It'll open up on your time slider, preferences. So first things first, just I'll just jump back to Max. We right click down here. These would be our equivalent time slider preferences. So here they are in Maya, time slider, and the same type of stuff. So that's where that can be found. And while we're here, if you jump up to animation, here's where we can set things like our default tangent types, same as we will find here in Max. It's just a lot of these things, they're just they're at hand here in Max, so to speak. They're not buried away in menus and everything, but that's in Maya. It just seems to be a lot of things. Well, I know I'm only using it a couple of days, but it seems to be buried away. So that's where that is anyway. As I said, I'm not going to there's your settings there for the animation settings, and there's everything else. There's more here for animation. That's just for ghosting, same as we have in Max. So I'll just cancel out that. So that's your preferences. Now, a hugely important thing I found, and one that really drove me insane until I figured out, thanks to good old Google, figured out the way to solve it. By default in Maya, every single movement you make on the time slider here is recorded in the undo buffer, which, as you can probably guess when you're animating, is an absolute nightmare. So let's say, for instance, your character posed, and then you change the pose, and then you move the time slider to check the pose. Well, then if you're not happy with it and you want to undo that, you have to undo back through all these changes on the time slider, and then you'll undo your animation. So before we start anything, I'll just show you what I came across. I've already fixed this by using I just went here, I did a search, and found this video and this code here. Now, at first I was like, oh Jesus, I'm only using mine a couple of days, and I have to start getting into all that messing with code, and code I can't code at all, but I found it's actually really intuitive in Maya, and you see the script editor is just down here. You know, you can echo all commands here in the script editor, and basically Maya will record every single thing you do, and it makes it really handy to make little buttons. See, I made another little button here, and this little button is is this the one? Is this the one? Yeah, that button there was just this time slider in this version of Maya. The background was nearly the same color as the marker here in the slider, so that was just another thing I had to do actually, just to change for my own liking, because you can hardly see it by default, but I think it's changed apparently in Maya 2015. But sure, I'm going off on a tangent here, no pun intended, so I'll just jump back here. If you just watch this video, and basically you're just going to be copy pasting this code into you come up here, Windows Settings Preferences and Hotkey Editor, down to, I think it was playback controls. You can see I've already done it here. I've set up these commands. See the ones with that finish and undo? There's 4 of them there, and I've changed the hotkeys so that when the time slider skips through frames, it's exempt from that the undo buffer. So that's imperative to do this. It's quite simple to do. So if you just follow this bloke's instructions here, copy and paste his text into the Hotkey Editor, it's really quick to do, and once you have it set up, it's done. Then you don't have to worry about it again. So let me see. Right, so back to Max again. That's that out of the way. Right, navigation. You know, obviously in Max, one thing I kind of have to get used to is in Max, you know, our middle mouse button for panning. Well, in Maya, you know, everything, your navigation is quite good. It's fairly standard now in the industry as well. A lot of people have followed Maya's navigation system. So hold down Alt, left mouse button to orbit, Alt middle mouse button to pan, Alt right mouse button zoom in or out. And you know, so you just, if you have an object here and it's selected, so I'll just create whatever, an object here, zoom in, select it. You know, in Max, all we'd have to do is hold down middle mouse button. With the object selected and you do that, you're going to move it in screen space. So it's just something to be aware of. Always hold down Alt when you're panning. So that's that. A lot of things actually I found in Maya use middle mouse button clicks, which is weird for us Max users, but there you go. Right, I'll go on to I'll just show you a couple more things while we're in the viewport here. So, you know, in Max we'd have Alt W to maximize and minimize the active viewport. So in Maya, you just tap the space bar once and it jumps in and out. So activate a viewport, you know, so just tap the space bar, and then if you hold down the space in Maya, it'll give you a hotbox, all these options here. It's mostly just mirroring all the stuff up here, but you can set up custom ones and blah blah blah. And like for instance, hold down this one is hold down shift and right mouse button, or there's different ones depending on what you've selected or what mode you're in, whatever. But I'm not really going to go into all that stuff. I'm only learning this the last couple of days. I mainly want to just focus on the differences in the animation kind of workflow. So yeah, I'll start with the time slider. You know, so we all know in Max how the time slider works. You know, when you hold down Control Alt and move, we can move our time slider. Control Alt right mouse button or Control Alt left mouse button. Well, in Maya it's actually quite easy here. We just drag this, you know, and then you can input the length of your time slider, or the entire length of your animation, and this is actually quite good. You can move it around, you can zoom in on sections of your animation, move around, and yeah, I find this to be better than or you know, it's just easier than Max's, quicker to use. So the other thing in Max, where we have selected here, so say if we had a selection set of all the characters controls, and then this would filter what was going to be keyed. So you know, you'd have whatever all your characters controls and your main controls as a selection set, and then you know every time they're being keyed. Well, in Maya they have what's called character set. So if I hold down spacebar, go to character, hold that down, create character set, and open that up there. This is, you know, you'd have all your, this would be blank, and then you just set up, you know, and you can have subsets of the character. It's actually more robust than it's actually purpose built for this reason, whereas Max's selection sets aren't really. But so that's quite a nice feature in Maya. Back to Max. In Max, our you know, our key toggle. I'll tell you what. I'm just going to I'll create an object here just so we can demonstrate a bit better. So turn on auto key, and I'll just set up some keys. Sorry. Turn on auto key. Oh yeah, sorry, my time slider has to be brought back to 0. Right, so what was I saying? Oh yeah. So in Max we have you know, this is the toggle between when you use your comma and full stop hotkeys. You know, whether that's on or off, as you know those hotkeys toggle through either frame by frame or keyframe by keyframe. So in Maya it's quite similar. I'll just do the same here in Maya, and I'll create a cylinder. Move it up, move it back, and see, auto key is on. That's actually something I should have mentioned here. Just under Maya's animation settings, you see here, auto key is checked by default. Key all attributes, so you can just usually leave that, and then auto key will always be on. But unfortunately, as in Max, when auto key is on, you know, this is all highlighted in red, you know, so you're aware that it's on, whereas in Maya you're not, because only this tiny little red button here in your peripheral vision, the only thing to let you know auto key is on, so just be mindful of that. Right, so where was I? Yeah, so I'm just gonna S to set a key, and go over and move it across, and there's our animation, and I can't remember now what I was going to demonstrate. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I remember, because I'm kind of jumping between what I was doing. I want this was going to be after with the set keys and auto key and that, but yeah, it's hotkeys basically. So it's the same hotkeys, the full stop and the comma cycle through your keyframes, and alt and full stop and comma. What's going on there? Well, that should be stepping through them, but they are the hotkeys. It's comma and full stop, same as Max basically, and then alt, comma and full stop to jump through frame by frame. Right, so that'll, yeah, we can move on to this kind of weird just to undo. Let's say in Max, I'm just gonna delete these keyframes. So in Max, as you know, you don't have to set a key here when you're on auto key. You can just move to your frame, move it, and it'll automatically set those keys. And then we could just come to the middle, move it up, and you know, it'll animate as expected. But if you try to do this in Maya, you know, if I move to here on the time slider and then move, it doesn't set any keys, you know, which isn't what we'd expect. So what you want to do is, you can see up here in the channel box all the values. So you have to press S to set a key, and once you have the key set, in the preferences earlier it's set as key all attributes. So you can see here in the channel box all these attributes have been keyed, they're gone red. So now if we move here, move this across, you'll see auto key now has set a key. So that key is set, but strangely enough, and this is something that was driving me mad at first, so I moved to the middle and I moved the cylinder up, auto key still on. Now that's what's happening, you know, which is weird. Well, to me it's weird anyway, because I'm used to Max just doing what you expect it to do. But in Maya, the thing to do is just to make sure that, you know, you just, on your main keyframes when you're setting up your animation, your golden poses, whatever you want to call them, your extremes, just press S every time, and then you know that everything's keyed and now it behaves as you'd expected. So just kind of bear that in mind. You know, I've just gotten in the habit, just press S, press S, press S. You know, Max obviously we can just use the big keyframe button here. It keys everything depending on what's filtered. But that's something just that drove me mad, you know, because I was expecting it to just behave the way Max's auto key behaves, but it does once you have those keys set. So just obviously bear that in mind. Right, so Max, you know, so easy to move keys around. Grab them, marquee, select them, move them around, not a bother. You know, left mouse button, simple. You know, so in Maya though, it's, you know, even the way the keys look, you know, in Max, the keys, you know, are on the key ticks, you know, and you can see them clearly. You know, in Maya you get this little line. If you go over to animation preferences, oh sorry, I think it's time slider preferences, you can set the size of the ticks here. Even at maximum at 5 though, when I had it at 5 it's still not huge, but this is weird as well, because in Max we're so used to, you know, the key is on the tick, but here it's kind of, it's at the start of it, so sometimes you're thinking, oh, is it this key or this key, so it just takes a bit of getting used to. But to move keys around in Maya's time slider, you have to shift, click, and then grabbing the center of let go of shift and grabbing the center of these two arrows and move it around. So shift, click, grab the arrows, you know, or you can grab a range by shift and dragging. Now you just have to be careful, as I said, about the ticks being at the start, so you might think your key is there but it's there, so it just takes a bit of getting used to. Now you can move these keys around. And then in Max, you know, say if we wanted to say if we wanted to create a breakdown or something, so in the middle here we can shift and middle mouse, or sorry, we can middle mouse on the there's a shift and drag, oh sorry, I'm getting used to my, you know, so we just shift and left drag our time slider and that creates a key. So the same thing in Maya would be done by, you just go to where you want to copy your keyframe from, middle mouse button, drag. Now nothing happens, it doesn't look like anything's happening, but once you get to where you want to bring the key to, let go of your middle mouse button, press S, and that'll create a key from here. So it's just for moving halts or breakdowns or whatever. That's how you do it in Maya as opposed to Max. So that's pretty much the basics. I just think it's much more intuitive moving things around in Max's time slider, but obviously that's because I'm way more used to it than Maya, so it just takes a bit of practice. Right, yeah, so I mentioned earlier on the attribute editor here, or sorry, the channel box where it has all the channels. These will become different colors depending on what's going on with the key, but you can look up that in the Maya docs. I haven't really looked into it too much. So you know, I like the way you can just kind of zero things out. But the weird thing is, you know, Max, I love the way you know, you have your modifier panel here, and you might have your attributes here with sliders and spinners and everything. But in Maya, you know, it's just a weird kind of, you have to click beside it here, then go into the viewport, and then middle mouse drag changes the attribute. So say you had a character with foot roll or something, and the foot roll was showing up over here in the channel box. You'd click on that attribute, and then you have to come out here. So click on the attribute, left mouse button, then out here, middle mouse, and change it, which is takes a bit of getting used to. Whereas, you know, in Max we have sliders and spinners over here in the modifier, or in the command panel, sorry, well, under an attribute holder modifier, so I do prefer that. So F curve and dope sheet in Max and Maya pretty much the same. So in Maya, you go up here to window, animation editors, graph editor, you know, and it's more or less you know, more or less the same key types, you know, values and attributes and channels over here. You know, it's pretty much the same with Maya, although Max is as I think with everything in Max as opposed to Maya, GUIs are just so much more I just think they're a lot slicker. Like Maya, just it was only in the last version or two that I could even bear to look at the way the screen was. But we won't go into all that. So yeah, you know where they are. Window sentence preferences. Sorry, window animation editors, and here they are. Dope sheet and the graph editor. What else now? Oh yeah, play blast. So you know, I do actually prefer Maya's play blast to Max's. You know, on Max we can go right click here, create preview, create preview animation, or up to tools, preview, create preview animation. So in Maya it's called play blast. So that can either be found up here, window, where is it again? Animation editor. So no, sorry, it's play blast here. It's here. So just click this little box, and same kind of settings as we have in Max's preview animation dialog. Or an easy way to get to it is just here, right click on the time slider, play blast, same thing. Right, so on Max, now I know we have the new scene explorers in Max 2015, but you know when you press H in Max you get your select objects dialog. So this is Max 2014 and Maya 2014. So Maya has it's called outliner. I think there's a script as well in Max now well there is to mimic Maya's outliner, but then we have the scene explorer in Max 2015. So so now you can set up hotkeys here. I've hotkeys set up for outliner and curve editor. So remember, window, sentence preferences, hotkey editor, and then you can set up your hotkeys here. I think my hotkeys, and you can see I was pressing middle there to pan around like a Max, and it was changing that attribute. But good example. So Alt, remember, to pan. Right, so this is Maya's outliner. So Windows outliner, same thing here. So that's the same as whatever, everything in the scene is here. Now, one thing that takes me to get used to in Maya as well is all the orthographic views are actually cameras, hidden cameras in the Maya scene. So they are actually cameras, whereas in Max they're not. We just have a camera. So this is just another thing to get your head around when you start using Maya. I was a bit frustrated at the start trying to set up cameras, set up a camera. I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on, but I got it eventually. So view, create camera from view, and you can still see here it's called Perspect 1, because I'll just bring up the outliner again. Persp 1, so it's actually another it's another camera here. You can see, because that's the original perspective camera. So if I select that camera, let's close that outliner. Select that camera here and go to the attribute editor. I think if I change the name here, we'll just say shot cam. Nope. Where do you change it again? Oh, here, sorry. It's here. Let me see now. Select camera, cycle to camera, cycle to cameras. Yeah, so shot cam here. Just you change the name over here. And then you can, like, Shift F, and then in Max we can put on the resolution gate, film gate, and all the rest of it, same as Max. So that's the camera, but you just kind of, in Max usually you set up a camera, it's locked off, but in Maya it's still just the same as any other viewport. And as you can see, you cannot tumble around in orthographic views, you know, the way we can in Max. We can, so it's almost the opposite here in Maya. Their orthographic views are locked off, whereas in Max usually your camera's kind of locked off unless you know, you use the controls over here. But in Maya, so if once you've your camera locked off, just remember that it is your camera. That's why it's important to name it something like shot cam or whatever, because you can get mixed up with your perspective, the default perspective camera that's created when a new scene is opened. That was outliner, sorry, yeah, so that's outliner. It's, you know, I set it up to a hotkey. I remember you can find it here, outliner. A lot of things can be found here in Maya, actually. Window. Right, so another thing I wanted to talk about was, so I have a bit of animation here. There's motion trails. So see how weird it's gone again. Oh yeah, that's because the attributes. Right, so select the object in animate here. So this changes, depends on what mode you're in here. So depending, see it changed. So just bear that in mind as well. So animation, object selected, animate, and then create editable motion trail. And there's our motion trail. You know, it's, I think this is only added recently in Maya, and I'm not sure if in 2015 they've improved it, but compared to Max's dedicated trajectory tool, it's the Maya one. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm bashing again, but it's absolutely rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. Max is here, you know, we can let's see, we go to the middle here. You know, we have our keys that we can adjust, and then we can even see our spacing here, which is really great when you're animating. So as well as your timing, you can see your spacing, which is very important. So yeah, this is Maya's. And then the weird thing is here, I'll just open up that outliner again. creates the motion. You know, it says create editable motion trail, so it actually creates it in the scene. So you have to physically select it and delete it to get it out of the scene. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to show for the basics, but you know, it just takes a bit of practice. To say I'm only doing a couple of days, so best thing to do is just get in there and play around. All I've done is get in, play around. I come across something I'm not sure of, I open Google, type in my problem, and then that's just kind of brute force the learning really. So I think I'll leave it at that for the moment. So have fun, keep on practicing. Alright, cheers, thanks, good luck.